Hey there, are you tired of playing Valkyrie? Are you tired of not doing enough damage? And are you tired of just being invincible almost forever and never dying? Well, I got you, fam. I got you the just perfect frame for you. Introducing Voruna. So she's gonna help you create cancer, spread cancer, and just nuke cancer in the face of enemies, no matter which content it is. As far as the builds go, there are definitely a lot of variations out there, but I decided to go for the non-helmet version. Now, Archon continuity, I would highly recommend trying to get this mod because it is very, very good with Varuna because she applies a lot of debuffs. Because any toxin effect you will place on any enemy, it will convert into, it will also additionally apply a corrosive status effect. Equilibrium for mostly her passives, where if you get any kills by melee attacks, you will get health orbs, which will convert directly into energy because of equilibrium, which makes this third skill very, very good. Now, Blind Rage, Umbral Intensified. If you don't have Umbral Intensify, you can go something like an Intensify here that can also work very well. And as far as Blind Rage goes, if you don't really like playing with negative efficiency, you can also go for something like Transient Fortitude. But you do need at least two strength mods to subset the negative strength from overextended, which might affect you a bit. I mean, if you're a non-SP content, a damage won't really matter that much for you, but you can still use this in an SP very well, perfectly well. It will still work for you. You don't have to worry about that. Now, what's more important here are the two augments here, which are Prey of Diner and Alphonse Endurance. I will post the summary for where to get these mods right here. So the augments are what makes this build very interesting. You can definitely use the first augment by itself, which is going to be fine. It increases the damage vulnerability for the first skill, as well as increases the range and spread radius for the second skill. And Alphonse Endurance for the fourth skill, what it does, it basically gives you free charges every time you kill an enemy by using the fourth skill, or as long as it dies by slash move, which it will, slash status, which it will, you are always going to be capped on the number of charges that you have. So a good way to play Varuna using this build is to just press 2, go use your press 4, then press E. That will probably make you pounce to the nearby enemy. And if you run out of your first skill, make sure to just keep refreshing this skill and this skill on enemies. And that's basically it. You only need to cast the third and fourth skill only once in a mission, at least, if you don't screw up here or there. But that's generally how the non-SP build works. The Arcanes, it's kind of flexibility for you, really. I have slotted the molt efficient, the molt augmented ones because they are much more accessible for most players. And if you want something a bit more different, more min-maxed, I would say slightly min-maxed. I think going with a growing power, two Archon mods, and a power drift might be better in this case. Now, I do have Arcane Blessing here. This is just to make sure you don't randomly die to like a bunch of enemies, because it is very easy to die on Voruna. Alright, if you're not paying attention, you might die here or there. So just try to make sure I get like an additional 1000 health from Arcane Blessing. But this one should be your flex slot. Feel free to place whatever. Molt Augment is just generally very good. I do have an Archon stretch here just to make sure I get a bit more energy regen if I do even proc any electricity status. Now, I do have some additional stats here, which I have like 30% additional duration from Archon Shards, and much of my energy, like 150 energy, come from Archon Shards, which you won't really need in the non-SP build because you can already use a Prime Flow here, but I have actually replaced that with an Archon Stretch, which gives me a bit more range, and as well as subsetting the energy from... So the Archon Shards here, you can definitely go for the Violet Archon Shard, which gives you melee critical damage, but you might need to use like a melee weapon for that. But I just decided to go the easy way. I don't have a lot of Archon shards myself, so I just used whatever I had. So going like 2 red shards or crimson cells gives you 30% ability addition is very, very good. Now, the Azure shards are pretty much mandatory here because that's going to be responsible for maintaining energy. Now, you can or cannot go casting speed here. I just decided to go casting speed, just makes your life easier. But you can also go something like 30% maximum energy field on spawn. That can also work very, very well with your build if you don't like popping energy pads here and there. So, as far as weapons go, primary and secondary are your flex slots. You can go whatever you want here if you do ever need them, but I highly doubt you will be using your weapons. But if anyone wants to use like a primary with Voruna, you can go for something like Electron Prime Incarnon. If anyone wants my build, I am using the evolution to riddle target here, extended volley, then fencing spikes here. And as far as the build goes, it is pretty much that. Feel free to copy that build. With primary merciless and gun glide, you won't ever need to worry about recoil from Latron Incarnate. It's a very, very solid weapon. And I just swapped in a bit up here because really, I'm not a huge fan of secondaries because I find myself using Warframes a lot more. So I do have an auger packed here just in case to get like a bit of energy regen from my low efficiency. That's pretty much it. Conjunction voltage is just here because I was using this on Kyre, but feel free to use whatever here. Now, melee is the fun part. You can use whatever melee you find fun in, but I personally went for Praedos. So the Incarnons are gonna be the drifting gauge for sprint speed and slide. Then I got initial combo, parkour velocity, and heavy attack wind up speed. Now you can go something else here. It's just up to your what you like doing, but I feel like initial combo is just initial combo. It doesn't really matter. And for the last one, you can also go for something like the ammo one, but I don't think you will be using our weapons that much. Heavy attack efficiency also works, but slide kill, I don't see myself doing that, so I just went with whatever. But parkour velocity and sprint speed are very, very nice with the Praedos. So that's my general build with Praedos. Only thing I would change here, or if you feel like changing here anything, you can swap out melee exposure for something like melee afflictions, melee influence, or melee duplicate if you feel very, very feisty. Those are your couple of options, but I feel like melee exposure does the maximum amount of damage with this build if you're not using her fourth skill. Relentless combination just pretty much guarantees that we'll get 12x combo counter within anywhere 3 to 5-ish seconds as long as you hit fast enough. Now, primary fury is here just to have some global attack speed. You can also go something like a berserker here, which can also work, or you can also go something like a quickening, which can also work. If you don't have prime fury, you can also use like the normal fury. Condition overload, again, mandatory because enemies will have a lot of status. I decided to go heat here because corrosive heat generally good everywhere. Galvanized elemental is for more status damage. Galvanized steel for a bit of critical chance and a bit of critical damage because because Praetor's critical multiplier is a bit low. Blood Rush, self-explanatory. Prime Pressure Point also self-explanatory, although you can go whatever you have at the moment. You don't really need all of those mods, although I do highly recommend getting something like Quickening and Relentless Combination. The Galvanized mods come from arbitrations. Okay, now finally the school. Focus school, you are going to die accidentally here and there with Varuna, so I do highly suggest going Madura if you haven't already, because the Void Strike and Contamination Wave are gonna do insane amounts of buffs to your amp, and that will pretty much guarantee that you can always self-revive from the last gas, which just comes from Unairu, Waybound ability. But if you don't have this one, or if you don't have this waybound, you can just switch something over to just Unairu. As long as you have like 1 or 2 points here, I think you should be good. But getting additional points here, just make sure you have more revives, or you can just kill 3 enemies and it will just gonna revive you. Very, very easy. Okay, companions. Now, companion Nautilus does feel like the only option that feels good with while playing with Voruna. That is because of cordon. Now, cordon is the only thing that matters here. Even if you don't put any single mod in this slot, Only just by having Gordon is gonna make your life a whole lot easier, although the cooldown is a lot high. So one way you can reduce the cooldown for Cordon is by having something called the Manifold Bond, where if you kill a whole bunch of enemies with more unique status effects, which you will always have, you will always reduce the ability by 3 seconds. So every single time you wipe out a group of enemies, Cordon will always refresh. Now, Duplex Gond is basically just there to make sure you get some more energy orbs. Cindy Construct, very useful. Momentous Bond to make sure your companion, even if it dies, you can usually revive it very easily. Animate Instinct, Explanatory, Assault Mod, your preference, Vacuum. Again, you can go whatever you want here. Regen is kind of useful here. So that's pretty much what you need, but make sure you have the order right in this order. You get Cordon, Assault Mod, Vacuum, then finally Prime Regen. And the the three bond mods. That's pretty much you need from your companion. And Verglas, well, it is a good weapon nonetheless. So I just usually run viral as far as my other videos. There, I see no reason to run anything else really. Viral is just insanely good. Um, you can pretty much just copy and paste this build here and you're gonna be just fine. Now, I find Voruna very fun to use. I don't know how much you like her, how much you will like her, but I do highly recommend to try her out, at least give her a chance. She's a bit of a pain to farm, but as long as you get her, trust me, it's worth it. It's a very unique Warframe. It's a unique playstyle. The auto targeting might be a bit janky at times, but I find myself coming back to this Warframe because it just shreds enemies, dude. It just shreds most general content out there, especially the SP stuff. Now, I haven't really bought Voruna to Steel Path Void Cascade myself, although I do plan on doing that. So stay tuned. I just might drop a shorts regarding that. So thank you guys for watching. That will be the end of this video. Hope you guys learned something. I will see you again on the next one. Bye. Bye.